Hi, today's tutorial we're going to talk about the type tool, which is located right here on the tools panel. The type tool, when you click on the type tool, you get the options down here in the bottom. The type tool has 7 different options for the type tool. It also has the other options here that you can use. Let's just click on the horizontal type tool and click right here and type something. When you type something like that, then you click on this green check mark and that commits it. Now automatically it goes right to the move tool. That's so you can move that around a little bit if you want to. Put it someplace that we want. If you don't want it to automatically go to the move tool, you can find a setting here in the preferences. Now on a PC, I think the preferences are under the file or the edit menu, I'm not sure. Go to the preferences, general, and there's a check mark right here. Select move tool after committing text. You can just uncheck that and then it'll stay on the text tool every time you use it. I'm going to go ahead and leave that checked because that is the default, and a lot of people I know just use it on the default. So I want to keep it the same way as most of the viewers have it. For the type tool, to get from the move tool back to the type tool, you can just click on it or just type T and it automatically goes to the type tool. You can see that this is the font Myriad Pro Bold. You can change that font to anything you want here. One way that you can do it too is to just highlight that and just use your arrow keys and it'll just go through them one by one, and that way you can see what kind of type you want. You can go up or down, your up or down arrow keys. You also have the different typefaces here: bold, italic, semi-bold, all the different typefaces that go with that font. You also have the leading, size, the tracking. I'll show you what those do in a minute. You have the color here. If you click on the color, you can change the color to anything you want here that's in your swatches. Or if you can't find a color that you want in your swatches, click on this little icon down here and it opens the color picker. The color picker will let you pick any color you want. Let's just use this dark blue, click OK, and it changes to blue. Now with this horizontal type tool also, you can click and drag and that makes a text box. So let's just type something in there. Type in a text box. Okay, let's just close that up a little bit. Click the check mark. Boom, it automatically went to the move tool, so just click T and you're right back into the type tool. Now to select the type, you can of course click and drag like anything else, or you can click twice to select a word, 3 times to select a sentence, or 4 times to select a paragraph. This is the leading down here. The leading controls the space between the lines of type. So example, right now we have 100 points. If we go to 200 points, you'll see, now see it went too big. We have to drag this box down a little bit and there it is. See how much space is in there now. If we change it to 50, look, it's right almost on top of the other line. And that depends a lot on the size of your type. We've got a 100-point type, so if we have 50 points of leading, of course it's going to be right on top of each other. The tracking is something different. Let's turn this back to 100. The tracking is the space between each letter. So if we put in, say, 50 tracking, that spreads the type out. If we put in minus 50 tracking, then it scrunches the type up. It has these presets right here that you can go minus 100 up to a positive 200. Or you can just type whatever you want in there, just like I did. We'll just leave it at 0. Click the checkbox and it automatically goes to the move. Click the T and you're back in here into the type tool. These right here, let me select that. These are faux, bold, fold, italic, underline, and strike through. If you click on that, even though we've got bold, italic there, if you click on that, it makes it bolder and more italic. You see how it goes? You can underline type, or you can do the strike through. This is the basic alignment. It's just like any other text typing tool. You got your left align, your center, your right align. This switches your text from horizontal to vertical. If we're on this one right here, let's just click it and see how it goes to vertical. Let's go back to the text tool. And it can go back and forth. It toggles. And it does basically the same thing. You can do that right here. If you click the vertical text tool, then it actually types in vertical. Let's go back to the text tool. Let's throw that one away. Let's put this down here a little bit. Let's change that back to horizontal. Okay. Text tool right here. This is the create warp text. Now if you have your layer here selected, so it's going to affect this type right here. So if you click on that, you get this warped text dialog box that comes up. And here you have a lot of different selections that you can pick. You can want, for example, arc, and you can control the arc with the sliders. Give it a little bit, give it a lot, whatever. You can also use the distort. Let's give it a little more and use this distort. You see what it does. Different ways. Vertical distortion does some other things. You can change your type in a lot of different ways. And there's all these different selections that you can choose here, and all of them are dependent on these sliders to get the look that you want. If you get doing things and you decide you don't want it, just hit the cancel button. If you do want it, click the OK button. I'll let you play around with that and see what it can do. This anti-aliasing, let's blow this up. Let's enlarge this a lot. See how the edge of the type is kind of fuzzy? That actually makes it look nice and nice and smooth when you're zoomed out. When you zoom in, it looks a little bit fuzzy. If you click that anti-aliasing off, now see how jagged that looks? If you zoom out just a little bit, you can see that it really doesn't look very good. So you always want to have this anti-aliasing on unless you're looking for this kind of a look in your art. So that's what anti-aliasing does. Let's throw those two layers away. Select them both and click the garbage can. This is text on a selection tool. What it does is you can make a selection. Let's make a circle selection. And then go back to the text tool. That's selected. If you click on that selection, click the check mark. Now it's a shape. And if you move your cursor to that line, see how it turns into the I bar with a curved line at the bottom? That's where you can begin typing. So click there, then just type on a selection. Okay, and there's your types. You just went around on that selection. Now if you want to move it, then you need to go to this tool right here. This tool is the shape selection tool. Lots of times it'll have one of these shapes in there. So just know that you have to click on that, and then within that group is the selection tool, and the keyboard shortcut is the U. If you want to just type a U, you can go right to it. Now when you move it over by your type, see how you get the I bar with a little arrow on it? If you click on this little square right here, you can drag it around. Now you have a little check mark there and a circle there. Let's move that circle around this way. That controls your type. Oh, see what happens there? If you move it into the inside of the circle, it moves your text to the inside of the circle. If you bring it out, your cursor, if you bring the cursor out, it stays on the outside of your selection. So stay on the outside unless you want it to go on the inside. You can just push that around. Oh, there I did it again, didn't I? And you can just use that little X and that little circle to just control your type and place it where you want it to go. And if you get it on the inside and you want it back, just click on the circle or click on the X and pull it out, and it'll go back outside of that circle or outside of your shape. That's your text on a selection. So let's throw that away. The next tool we have right here is the text on a shape tool, and when you click on it, you get all these different shapes right here. Let's just use this shape right here, the heart. We'll draw a heart, and as you move your cursor over again, you get that I-beam with the curved line. Click right there, and that's where you'll start typing. Text on a shape. Okay, now again, it's typing on the inside. If we want to change that, we need to go to this tool right here, the shape selection tool, or click U to get the shape selection tool. And when that I-beam has the arrow off to the side, you click on it and just drag it to the outside of that shape. Now you can see that it's kind of goofed up here. You can change that by clicking on the regular text tool and going around. There's the N. Let's put a couple of spaces in there, and there you go. It looks good. You can move that just a little bit again with the selection tool. Now that is the circle, so that goes over towards the end. This selects that. So there we go. That's text on a shape. Let's throw that away. The next tool down here, the type tool, is text on a custom path. If you click on that, you can make your own custom path. So whatever you want. Click the check mark. You get the I-beam with the curled line. Text on a path. Click the check mark. Click the shape selection tool, and you can click on this X and slide it around. There's the 0 down there, so we can go all the way down if we want. Oh, there it flipped to the other side. You can do that the same way as we did on the other shapes. So you can just play around with it that way. Go back up there. Okay, so that's text on a path. Now, let's get rid of that. Okay, the next tool we're going to go over is this tool up here, and it's the horizontal type mask tool. I don't like to use the horizontal type mask tool or this vertical type mask tool, and I'm going to show you why. If you click on it, and we're gonna use 400 point because we're gonna put a picture inside of this type, so we want it to be big and bold. Click up here and start to type. Click the check mark. You can see it made a selection. Now if you want to move that selection, look what it does. The part of the selection that was off of the canvas is actually clipped off now. So you can't move the type around if it's off the canvas. It also didn't give us an extra type layer up here, its own type layer, and you can't edit that now. It's a shape, it's a selection, you can't edit it. Let's bring in a picture. This is the picture that we're going to put inside this type. So we're going to paste it into this document. Now I'm going to go back to that type. Okay, now see, I typed right on that layer. So if I click the check mark, now if I go to move it, it actually cuts that out of the picture. That's not really what I wanted either. So let's Command Z or Control Z to get out of that. Do it a couple of times. If I select the background layer and then type, okay, now I'll hit the check mark. Now I have a selection. Now I can go to this layer and click on the mask, and that's the mask right there. But I can still move it. But see, I got that E now. The reason I got that E was because my picture, if I click on the picture here, you can see that the picture goes clear out to here. That's why I got that E that time. And I didn't get it before. It's because the picture was big enough. But anyway, let's keep going. You can move that around, but you can't move the picture within the type. You can if you unlink it right here. Click on that little link and now go to the picture, and you can move the picture within that type. But the type's still not editable. You can't change it. So I'm going to show you a better way to do that. We're going to delete that layer. We're going to leave that layer on there. That's fine. Let's go back to the type tool. Let's just go to the regular type tool. We have 400. We're bold. Let's type in here. T-E-X-T. Okay, hit the check mark. We can move it down. Now if you get the little hand like that, just move your cursor over to the edge here. See how it turns into the double arrow? Just click right there, and now you can move it. That's something to be aware of. Okay, we're almost to the edges, but we can change that because it's type. Go to the text tool. I gotta hit the check mark. Go to the text tool. Just change the tracking a little bit. Select it. Let's just go -25. Let's see what that does. That does good. Okay. Check mark. Slide it over. We've got to go to the edge again. Slide it over just a little bit. Okay. Now we've got our text. Let's move our text. Hit the check mark. Let's move our text underneath the picture. Now we want to clip this picture to the text below it. What that means is that the picture will only be visible where the pixels are in this layer right here, the type layer. You can do that two ways. You can make sure that that layer is selected, then go up to Layer, create a clipping mask, and that puts that text or that picture just in the text. Or a better way to do it, the way I like to do it, hold down the Option or the Alt on a PC and go right in between those layers and see how you get a square with a little arrow that's pointing down? Click right there, and that clips that picture to the text. Now your text is inside of that picture and you can move it around wherever you want. If you want to move that text around, maybe you want it up here at the top, just shift click so you select both of those layers, and you can move the whole thing around wherever you want. And the good thing about this is, let's just select the text, go back to the text tool with the regular text tool. It's still editable. It's text. So that's a much better way to do it. I don't use these at all, the mask tool or the vertical mask tool. Just use your regular tools and use a clipping path, and it works a lot better. Anyway, so that's the basics of the text tool. So play around with it. There's a lot to do there with the different warped effects and the different type you can do, and putting pictures within text and all kinds of things that you can do. Play with it, continue to learn, continue to practice, and I'll see you on the next tutorial. Thanks. Bye.